Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Brief, the show where me and QnA catch up every 2 weeks to talk about Bitcoin, privacy, open source, keeping your Bitcoin secure, and the news and software updates that matter. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been supporting Ungovernable Misfits, and a big thank you to Foundation Devices for supporting the show. If you haven't already checked them out, go to foundation.xyz. They make the best hardware in the space. It's the best build quality. It's fully open source. They have an incredible team, and the UX is piss easy. They make cypherpunk tools for fuckwits, and anyone can use this, even me. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, feel free and I'll be happy to go through things with you. For anything super technical, I'll pass you on to Q. If you want to buy one of these incredible passports, use the code Ungovernable. It will get you a discount and it will let them know that I'm shilling. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to the Cake Wallet team. Not only are they supporting this show, but they're also bringing out some incredible features. For those of you who actually use Bitcoin and actually care about their privacy and security, Cake Wallet make it incredibly simple for you to live outside of the traditional financial system. You can use CakePay within the app to buy gift cards for food, petrol, and whatever else you might need day to day. You can use silent payments, and of course, you can use Monero. You can connect both Bitcoin and Monero nodes, use coin control, and this team are constantly innovating. I'm really looking forward to getting Seth and some of the other team members back on the show soon, and I'm really excited to be working with them. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, but check them out at cakewallet.com. Download the APK or start using this today on Mac, Windows, Linux, iPhone, or of course your Android device. Enjoy the show. Morning, mate. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I am not sick, although I believe you're still suffering a little bit, mate.
Snuffling away. A disgusting excuse for a human being. Never quite properly sick and never fully alive. Just like a little golem or something.
Oh dear. Has it been affecting your gym routine as well?
No, not really. I've still been smashing out the gym.
My man.
Absolute unit. Still, calves are inferior, but the rest of me's doing all right.
It's funny you mentioned my calves, and this might come as a bit of a shock to some listeners, given our recent focus on my calves in recent shows. I actually trained legs for the first time last Friday, and it was the first time since end of May.
Wow.
I have been registered disabled over the weekend because I literally cannot fucking walk.
Why?
It is the worst leg DOMs I've ever had in my entire life. It wasn't even a big session, right? But like, normally it takes probably, a day and a half to 2 days before you really start to feel the
really
leg
kicks
DOMs
in.
set in.
Yeah.
This was the same day. I got into bed, I was like, I am going to be absolutely destroyed in the morning. And yep, I could barely get out of bed. I've been walking around like, I don't know what. It's been a pretty painful couple of days. So
Wow.
Lesson learned, don't skip leg day. It was for good reason. I've been riding my bike a lot for the summer, making the most of
That's leg day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like I haven't trained them, but it's a very different training type of stimulus than, heavy squats and stuff. And boy, did I feel it.
I never really get in the squat racks and stuff, to be honest with you, because it's just always There's 3 squat racks in my gym, and there's always either 1 or 2 powerlifters who just like take up the fucking racks the whole day, and they're like in groups. I don't really want to fuck with them because they're like the size of fucking rhinos. Or it's like the gym influencer gym girls who like wear yoga pants where you can literally see what they ate for breakfast and like filming themselves.
Got the tripod set up behind them.
And I'm like, I also don't want to even speak to them because I'm going to be like labeled a perv for like even fucking walking over there. So I'm just like, fine, I'll just use the machines. That's me. They
are good fun. They one of my favourite exercises. Got a love-hate relationship with it, but it is pretty good. You got to be very careful. Like it's very, very easy to injure yourself and stuff. But
yeah, that's the other thing.
Everything you just said just reminded me why I do not miss going to commercial gyms at all.
Oh, mate, it's so annoying. At least now I'm like at quite a posh gym now. But the last gym that I went to was like in the roughest, shittest part of the city that I'm in like the worst place. Because I would either train late at night or like in the middle of the day. It was just full of like roadman little scum, just like all on their phones, and just like you just know they're just all looking for an argument all the time. You're just like constantly on edge in there. At least now, like I don't really have those problems, so good. I'm moving up in the world.
Glad to hear it, mate. Glad to hear it. The question on everybody's lips, mate. What's going on with your Start 9? We left our last recording 2 weeks ago with it being broken, you sounding somewhat despondent, and sounded like you were about to give up. So what's the latest?
Yeah, people have been waiting with bated breath. Well, as per usual, mate, it was you who fixed it. After how many? I mean, like maybe 6-7 hours of fucking around on different groups and reading through different articles and jumping into the Start 9 groups and asking people and DMs and everything else. It was you.
Just before you say, just a quick recap. It was you were trying to upgrade your drive from 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte, wasn't it?
Yes. So took the laptop apart, put in the new NVMe, kept the old one separate. People who want to listen to the whole boring story can go back to the last episode. I'm not going to repeat myself. But in the end, I couldn't transfer the original data, across to the new NVMe. Time after time after time, it was failing. In the end, after many hours, it was said, well, just go and get a new NVMe case, order a new one and try that. And there was no recommended list of which ones to try. It was just like, just fucking keep trying them and buying them. And I was like, oh, this is so stupid. And I tried it in all the blue ports on the laptop that I had and the lightning port and all the different stuff. And nothing was working. And everyone kept saying, oh, are you sure you're doing it with the blue port, the blue USB, because that's the faster one. Are you sure you're using that? Yeah, I've tried all of them. Every fucking one, over and over. And then I'm speaking to Q, and he's like, why don't you just try the non-blue one, the slow one, because that might just work. I was like, why? He's like, well, it might do because it's whatever, I don't know, some fucking robot reason.
I think it's something to do with it draws less power, but again, I'm just guessing there.
That was the one. Anyway, tried it, works first time. Straight, well, I was just like, how have I just wasted like a day fucking doing this on repeat? And I just didn't. I tried every other port. I even plugged in a separate, like, what do you call them? Like an extension thing that gives you more different USBs. I tried like everything other than that thing. He was like, yeah, why don't you just try that? Did it? Worked. So it was a bit slower. It took, I don't know, I can't even remember, like half a day to transfer everything over. Got it up and running. Downloaded a Monero node onto that. That took like 2 days. It went to like 80 or 90% within like, I don't know, half a day. And then it took like another day and a half to do the rest. Got that all running and then linked that to my new Cake wallet. All works beautifully, no issues. Very happy. So thank you, mate, for, as usual, helping this retard continue his cypherpunk journey.
So again, just to recap, I don't fully know why that fixed it. The reason I knew that it would be a worthwhile suggestion is mainly from years of dicking about with Raspberry Pis and different hard drives and them falling out of sync and not being registered and things like that. Like the first thing I always used to do was just switch the USB port and it would have like a 50% hit rate. So this sounded like it could be a similar sort of issue. And lo and behold, it is. I mean, the bit that's quite peculiar to me is that we're not talking about a Raspberry Pi here. We're talking about your Star Labs laptop, which
Yeah, it's very
presumably
high
was
spec.
yeah, high spec with a proper power supply. Like it's not a little toy computer.
No.
But it worked, and I guess that's all we need to know, really.
Yeah, well, just in case it helps someone else as well, because
Yeah, absolutely.
I had seen other people had similar issues in the chat that didn't seem like they were necessarily resolved. And yeah, for that simple fix, for all the grief that it gives you, it's well worth doing. And the other, just one little tip I would give to people is, if you are going to do it, just for peace of mind, especially if you've got a decent amount in your Lightning channels, just fucking drain them first. That's actually what I did before, when I set it up again, before doing the transfer, I actually just drained everything out. And then before changing everything over, I just, I'm not making sense. What I did, Q, is I plugged in the old NVMe and then I just started it up running it from the NVMe that was plugged in rather than the NVMe that was actually in the laptop. Does that make sense? Like running a live version, not transferring it.
Yep.
So because I saw that worked, I was like, oh, fucking hell, okay. And because I had like 2 million sats on there in my Lightning channels, I was like, I am not losing this. So I jumped onto my Zeus wallet and then just drained it out, bought some gift cards, sent some all over the place, did what I needed to do, drained it all. And then I did the transfer because I was like, I was shitting myself for like 2 days thinking, oh my God, I'm going to fucking lose this. So maybe before you do a transfer, don't have money that really makes a difference to you on there.
Yeah. Did you close the channels or just drain all the funds out?
No, I just drained all the funds out and then I did a, what was that? Swap?
Bolts.exchange.
Bolts. Yeah, then I did a bolts from a post mix into there and then rebalanced it.
So the channels were fine when you put the new drive in and it all got synced up again, yeah?
It was all fine.
And stuff, and you just topped them back up.
It all worked. I just did it as like, oh, I've just gone through all this drama and I was so scared. I'm just going to make sure.
Nice. Okay. Well, now I know that it works. I'm looking at my 2 terabyte NVMe on my desk. And I'm probably going to do that this week.
Well, thank you, mate. I appreciate your advice there.
My pleasure. I have treated myself last week. Would you like to know what I've treated myself to?
New set of legs?
No. Oh, that would have been required this weekend. That would have been nice. Yeah. I have treated myself to a new Pixel. Google Pixel, that is.
Oh, I knew you would. I should have known that because you kept telling me about it.
Yeah, I've been mulling it over for months. Well, since I've bought a Pixel 9 and I've been mulling it over since this was released in, well, I think they announced it early September, something like that. Previously was running a 6A, which was starting to show the signs of daily abuse, if I'm being honest. Like, luckily, I work from home with my own office and I can have it plugged in almost constantly if I need to. Yeah, the battery wasn't great. Okay. Multitasking or switching between apps was just getting a bit painful. Regular freeze-ups, switching between different profiles was very painful. That took quite some time. So yeah, it was time. So I was going to get the 8 and I went into the phone shop and I got suckered in by the marketing and went for the 9 instead.
Treat yourself.
Yeah. It worked out like it was like an extra £3 a month. So I was like, do you know what? I can like just not have a coffee in a coffee shop once a month and have the better phone.
Yeah, that's true. When you look at things broken down by week or by month, it's very easy to spend that extra money, isn't it?
You can quickly let it run away from you. Absolutely. Absolutely. The difference, oh my God, it's night and day. Like so snappy, moving through menus and stuff. Like to be expected, of course. Like it's a flagship phone. It's brand new and my old one was like 4 or 5 years old. The biggest things I've noticed other than the speed of it is it's got the 120 hertz screen rate. So like when you're like quickly scrolling through, I don't know, Twitter or your app list or something like that, it's buttery smooth. Whereas my old one was like, you'd flick your thumb and it'd be like, oh, hang on, let me just think about what I need to do. Oh, okay, you want to scroll down? Okay, great, let's go. This one just buttery smooth. Switching profiles is super fast. Like it's a big step up. And the camera, wow. The camera's just incredible.
Even with running graphene and all that.
Even with running graphene, yeah, obviously I failed to mention that, but of course, as soon as I got it home, I flashed graphene straight on there. I'm using the Google camera with all the bells and whistles, but with network access switched off and stuff. So you can leverage all the quality bits, without having to backdoor it with all the AI stuff if you don't want to.
Is there going to be a little Q&A guide on this or not?
I've already got a graphene guide. It's up.
No, but is it any different now with a 9 than a 3 or whatever it would have been?
The same applies. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it quite a few times now using the web flasher to install graphene, and every time I do it, I'm just reminded by how far we've come and how simple it is compared to how bad it used to be. Like the whole thing, including like all of the loading screens and everything like that, was like less than 10 minutes. I think if I'd have timed it, it'd probably be 6 minutes or something like that. It's really good.
The last one, when I did mine on a Pixel 3 or 3A or whatever it was, took me from Friday afternoon until Monday afternoon.
Wow.
And a bottle and a half of whiskey and close to tears and everything else. And I ended up doing it with a Chinese tutorial. I was then like trying to get that into English, and it was fucking mental. So it's good to hear it's come a long way. I think I might actually be tempted to do the same, because at the moment I'm in a situation where I'm stupid. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 phones that I'm running, and it's it doesn't make any sense. And it's like sometimes I'm like, I've sent that on Telegram. Oh yeah, but no, that account isn't linked to that one. Oh no, Simplex, but that's from the Pixel. That's a different one, and everything's like scattered everywhere, and it's fucking horrible. And I'm still running an iPhone for some bits, just because I actually hate, in all honesty, I hate my Pixel 6. I fucking hate using it. Typing on it is horrendous, and I know people have suggested like you can download
Gboard.
The Google, that's it, the Gboard, which I haven't done in all fairness, but I just find it horrible to use. Like it's fine just to send transactions and do the odd little bit or PGP or do whatever little bits I got to do, but as a daily phone, it's disgusting. I am slightly tempted to just fuck them all off, sell them all, and like just dive in and get just one device.
Yeah, I'm very much not about that multi-phone life.
That's so shit.
This Pixel, it runs the Sandbox Google Play services, and I'm fine with the trade-offs. It's got my work apps on, it's got my banking apps on. Just like, I just need so much of a mobile device, and the thought of having to carry multiple of them, it's never going to happen. So I'm just happy to make the trade-offs and, have the Play services to get my notifications and stuff like that. And sometimes you just got to find a happy medium and make it work for you, I guess.
If you have like Envoy on your phone, if you're carrying that around and you have Envoy where you're using it to interact with your hardware, do you not have any concerns about like something happening where someone gets hold of that and then they can see balances? I know they can't spend unless it's in the hot wallet, but I feel like I don't necessarily want to be carrying that around, because in case that data leaks, is that an unreasonable thing?
I wouldn't say it was unreasonable. And you can mitigate it by just keeping those sensitive apps in a secondary profile behind a different pin. So if, you have your day-to-day kind of profile, the default profile, and somebody snatches your phone out of your hand while you're walking down the street and it's unlocked, then they don't get to see all of the stuff on the other profiles. Or if they snatch it in an unlocked one and then try to cave your head in, or threaten to cave your head in and force you to, Face ID or fingerprint or enter your PIN to get to the main profile, then again, they still don't see that sort of stuff. I'm not saying it's foolproof. If they know these profiles exist, they can go looking for them and then threaten you further to unlock them. But it just puts them that far out of sight that it protects you against most kind of trivial sorts of theoretical attacks.
So you'd be in your normal profile that you live your life in with your banking apps and all your shit that you need, and then there's just a way to go to a separate section and you type in a separate PIN.
Yeah, just set up a secondary profile. You can have I'm not sure on the upper limit on how many you can have, but you can have multiple profiles on Android and Graphene. Set them up each behind their own different pins, and you can segregate which apps you want to be where. And you can have like play services disabled on the different profiles and stuff. Like it's not like a device-wide thing. So you can very much sandbox. Graphene does a wonderful job of sandboxing everything anyway within a singular profile. But if you want to take it to the next level and segregate them out between profiles, which are kind of like phones within phones, sort of, then you can do that as well, and they can be protected by different pins and stuff.
I might be tempted. It's Christmas coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's would highly recommend. Very very performant phone. Okay, final bit of AOB for me is another reminder for people, because I saw another Telegram scam happen over the weekend where somebody lost a significant amount of funds by giving their private keys to an impersonator of an admin in a Telegram group that I'm a part of. Obviously a heartbreaking story, one that never gets any easier to hear about, even though it happens as frequently as it does. But just once again, another PSA that if you need support with your hardware wallet, your Bitcoin wallet, or anything Bitcoin related, go straight to the manufacturer or the project or whatever it is, their official support channels. If you ask for support in a community Telegram room, expect that you're going to get loads of DMs from people who appear to be the admins of the Telegram group. They are not those people. They are impersonators, and their sole purpose in life is to sit there and wait for people like you to ask for support, and then to hop into their DMs separately and say, hey, I can see you that you need support. And then they'll socially engineer you with the end goal of saying that they're going to help you. And then generally speaking, what they'll do is they'll send you a link to a website that asks you to enter your seed words. And as soon as they've got those seed words, they send all of your funds to a wallet that they control, and you have zero recourse. This may seem obvious, and most people listening to this will probably already be in Telegram and will be familiar with this. But if you are that type of person, then just take it upon yourself to make sure that as you're introducing people to this ecosystem, that you're telling those newcomers to remain extremely vigilant. Telegram is just a shit show of scammers. Go direct to the manufacturer, to the project owner via email or whatever official channels they have available. If you must ask in a community Telegram room, just expect that you're going to get loads of malicious DMs, and you should treat everything with extreme caution.
Yeah, and especially now that we're getting quite a few more newer listeners, if you are sort of newer to Bitcoin and you're listening to this show, then if for any reason you're locked out of a wallet which has got your seed words in it and you're getting worried, at the end of the day, as long as only you have those seed words, your funds are safe. You might not be able to access things right now, but they're safe. And like from personal experience, early days, the panic is real. You haven't used it a lot. You're like, oh my God, could I lose it? What's happening? And when you're panicked, you make mistakes. And that's when you jump into a Telegram room. These predators are just going to jump on you and take your Bitcoin. So if you are getting DM'd, at very least, reach out to a couple of other trusted people and just say, like, is this a legit channel? Like, what's happening? And obviously, do not ever, ever, ever give your seed words to anyone ever for any reason ever. You don't need to. There's never a case where you have to do that. You can reach out to me or Q or something if you're in a real panic and you're not sure what's happening, but do not give them over.
Yeah, I would kind of push back against what you just said about reaching out to us, just because they might get the wrong person that isn't us, because we both have impersonators on Telegram.
No, I don't have one yet, mate.
Really?
No,
Okay.
I'm not big time.
Yeah, I would just say just go direct to the project owner, to the manufacturers, to just go on their website. They'll have a support button. Just go there. Yes, it might take a little bit longer for you to get a response, but you know that your response is going to come from a legitimate source that isn't going to try and steal all of your shit.
Yeah. When I said reach out, what I mean is, like, if you're not sure about something, you can reach out to a few people, like trusted people. What I meant by that is, like, if you're reaching out to, you think is the real me on Twitter or Telegram, and you think is the real Q, you think is the real, whoever, someone that you listen to and trust, you're less likely, if you reached out to a few more people, there's more points of contact in the real world, that someone's more likely to say, like, no, fucking don't do that. That's what I meant.
Yep, makes sense. Stay vigilant, people. Otherwise, this shit's just never going to stop.
No.
Okay, a couple of news items. Our good old friend, Mr. Craig Wright, is not done with his lawsuits just yet.
What a guy.
He has filed a $911 billion lawsuit.
Amazing.
£911 billion against Bitcoin Core and Square without legal representation. So I think he's going this alone, which
Amazing.
shouldn't surprise me for this individual, but somehow it does. Australian computer scientist Craig Wright has filed a 911 billion, and 50 million. There's 50 million on top of it as well.
Okay.
Lawsuit against Bitcoin Core and Square Up Europe, Jack Dorsey's company. According to Wright, the legal action concerns issues related to the integrity of Bitcoin's design rather than the question of its creator's identity, which, as we know, has been the final nail has been driven firmly into that coffin. Wright specified that the focus of his lawsuit is not on Nakamoto's identity, but on the assertion that Bitcoin Core has failed to adhere to the design principles originally established for Bitcoin. According to Wright, Bitcoin was meant to function as electronic money for microtransactions without the mediation of central entities, and he has requested that Bitcoin Core demonstrate compliance with these original principles.
It's so
Wow.
good.
Wow.
What I love when I hear that story is I've got one friend who is such a fucking autist, and what he loves more than anything to wind down from his work, which is quite stressful, is to watch retarded stuff and just laugh at it. His favorite thing is watching the Craig Wright stuff. He loves to watch like him give these speeches and tie himself in knots and give these amazing excuses and stuff. And I'm very happy that he's going to have some more material to watch and entertain him. So that's one part of it. And the other part that I really enjoy is that there are going to be a core group of BSV enjoyers, the super fucking retarded people sat in their mum's basement who are going to be rubbing their hands with glee thinking, oh, we're finally going to get them. And that's fun
This
as
time
well.
is different. Yeah. So I was about to pose the question of how on earth did he come up with the figure 911 billion and 50 million pounds? But it's in the claim form. Apparently you have to state this. So, estimated value of the claim, 911 billion and 50 million pounds. This is based on the difference in market valuation between Bitcoin, BSV, at £50 per unit and BTC at £46,000 per unit, reflecting the financial impact of misrepresentation and resulting market loss.
So good, isn't it?
Wonderful.
They are going to be rubbing their little greasy hands, their Cheeto-covered greasy hands.
I don't understand why or how Square Europe is involved in this. It's all very strange. And again, I shouldn't be surprised by how strange all of this is, but again, I am. I guess when you're backed into a corner and you lose time after time after time, then I guess you have to come up with more and more weird and wonderful shit to try and get your point across, eh?
I think he's like hiding out somewhere in Asia in some like closet somewhere making little videos and stuff. And I suppose like when you're sat there in the dark alone and you've fallen from grace, you might just think, do you know what? This is a good idea. This is a great idea. This is what I'm going to do. And then you go through with it. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see it play out. It's going to be very entertaining.
It does really drive home the importance of having people around you that aren't afraid to tell you that you are a crazy fucking lunatic and you should not do a certain idea.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I get reined in by you and John quite often. Don't do that, mate. That's too far. That's too much. You need it.
Indeed. Okay, the next news item we have is, did you hear about TD Bank paying a, quote, historic fine for drugs, bribes, human trafficking, and money laundering? Normally, I wouldn't bring this sort of stuff up, but I wanted to raise it and talk about it and then draw some or highlight the non-parallels. Yes, the non-parallels between this and the samurai.
Sorry, mate. I just I meant to mute myself and I muted you. You need to unmute. Oh, I just muted you again. You need to unmute yourself.
I'm back.
Sorry, mate. That was so rude. I meant to mute myself because there's a load of noise going on in my house.
I didn't know you could mute because you're the host, I guess.
Yeah. I'm the big daddy. I can do that.
Last week, TD Bank agreed to pay over $3 billion in penalties in a plea deal with the US government for Bank Secrecy Act violations, making TD Bank the first US bank in history to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit money laundering, and the largest US bank pled guilty to violations of the Bank Secrecy Act, according to a release from the US DOJ. So it turns out that if you violate the Bank Secrecy Act and you commit money laundering or conspiracy to commit money laundering, and you have the right contacts, then you can get away with a slap on the wrist and 3 billion quid in fines, which it turns out is 1% of their revenue.
Cost of doing business.
You don't have to go to court. You don't have to have law enforcement boot down your door, have all of your devices searched, have your family put through hell. You don't need to do all of that. All you need to do is be an official bank, and they say, yep, just give us 1% of your revenue and it'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there is a difference here. These guys were involved in human trafficking. That's really enjoyed by the people who make these decisions. So they've gone, okay, all right, you've done all of this money laundering. We're not a massive fan of money laundering, but you throw in some human trafficking there, and we love that. So we're going to actually just fine you 1%. Don't worry about it. Whereas if you're making freedom tech and trying to protect people's privacy and trying to protect them from some real issues in life, but you don't throw in the human trafficking, you don't do anything that's really dangerous and harms people, then you're going to be in trouble. And I'm not suggesting that people throw that in if you're a developer making this kind of software. Just bear it in mind.
Yeah, it could be your get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
If you want to read more about this, you can go to therage.co. Lola Leitz has done a very good and very detailed write-up about the kind of details of it. But I just wanted to highlight the ridiculous injustice in what appears to be, a very similar quote-unquote infringement of the US laws, shall we say. Absolutely just ridiculous.
I went off on a long rant. As I was editing it, I was like, oh, shut the fuck up, stop ranting, mate. But last time I went on a rant about just how crazy the world is with some of this stuff. This really does highlight it. And linking to another story that, not really story, but there was a recent podcast with everyone's Lord and Saviour, Sailor, where he's saying, I was going to play the clip, but I just couldn't be bothered to put it in. But he was saying basically it's like a load of paranoid crypto anarchists who care about holding their own wealth, and that they're only doing it to sell you hardware devices, and they're only doing it to sell passports, and it's completely unnecessary. I'll just say to anyone who's stupid enough to believe his bullshit, also consider the fact that by taking your money away and out of the hands of custodians, you're also keeping your purchasing power and your energy away from these fucking disgusting, paedophilic, murderous cunts. And for nothing else, you should be considering it for that reason.
+1 to that. Couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, let's hit some boosts. Late stage hodl, 33,133 sats. It seems I forgot to boost the last show. Sorry, love you guys, long time. We will forgive you, Late Stage Hodl. You are an avid supporter of the show, so thank you once again. At Damp Shadow 1F6. Great name. That sounds like a pay name, doesn't it? Damp Shadow.
Damp Shadow. Yeah, it does.
12,500 sats. Keep up the good work, gents. At 8 Mithrandir, 7,777 sats. I have not played with Start 9. I'm still holding out for Catan's next node guide. That is a very good point, actually, Catan, if you're listening to this. Long time no speak, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Also, we are long overdue. I think the last one was in 2022, so pull your finger out, mate.
I remember that, and I can remember him saying, Dell Optiplex. He kept talking about Dell Optiplexes.
I'm sure there's probably not that much change since the one he did in 2022, so it's probably still almost certainly relevant.
He was doing it all from scratch, wasn't he? It was like in the command line, and you're pulling in core, and then you're pulling in all your different bits that you needed. Didn't you run one?
I did, and then all of the software needed updating, and because it's all installed individually, you have to update them all individually. And I like to be a lazy piece of shit and just click update in my Node UI and just have it all done for me. So clearly, when you build it all yourself, you don't have that. And I just got lazy and didn't update all the software, and eventually it just fell over.
Yeah, fair enough.
At Bon, 3,456 sats. Respect for doing the due diligence and picking well-aligned sponsors. When sharing various episodes of Ungovernable Misfits with people, I don't have to give the obligatory warning about those sponsors or ad reads. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, mate.
sir.
We do try.
At Wartime, 3,333 sats. Whoop whoop. With cheers beers. Chad F, 3,000 sats from Podverse. No comment. FOMO Matronic, 1,001 sats with a winky face. Limone Slonge. I think I've said that right. 1,000 sats from Breeze, thank you. Pink Fox, 1,000 sats from Breeze. Again, no comment. Here's Expatriotic with 690 sats from Podverse, schooling me. Q&A. The two beers clinking is cheers, not beers. The two hands that look like they're either praying or giving a high five is praying, or is bowing in Asia, depends on the context. And the chili is supposed to mean spicy, not chili.
Okay.
I think those were fair mistakes for me to make.
They're fair enough. He's very particular about things, especially when it comes to coffee. Extremely particular, but we appreciate you righting our wrongs there, mate. Thank you.
I have Expatriotic down as a latte man. I don't know why. Hopefully you can prove me wrong.
I can't remember that. All I know is that he goes into extreme detail about the way that you should or should not prepare your coffee.
Oh, no. I've just had a power cut.
I'm not sure if I've lost you or if you're just dreaming of coffee. I think I've lost you. Oh, you can't. I'm going to have to make a guide for Q&A of how to use a VPN, not go offline all the time. Ridiculous. Oh, he's properly offline now. No, he's right. Stay there. Power cut. Fuck. Stay there. Ah, this guy. I'm going to make a coffee while he's fucking around.
It appears that I have been transported back to the Middle Ages and my power just keeps going off. It's just gone off twice in the last 2 minutes, so apologies for dropping off. We were talking about Expatriotic being a coffee autist.
We were, yeah. I've never seen anything like it. Book suggestion.
Book suggestions?
Yeah, what was the one? Do you know what? He said the book, and I realised I actually had it. He suggested, I've got it here. I was using it to prop up my screen. James Hoffman is who he suggests, and I actually have the book here because I quite like my coffee, and someone bought me this one Christmas or something. But it goes through like home roasting, how to do that, where the different beans come from, what temperature you should be having your water at, what type of water you boil with bottled water, not tap water, weighing the bean, the drip technique. Just like this is the book closing now. And that will be the last time it opens. but thank you to the kind person who bought it for me.
Well, I take my hat off to Expatriotic. If you've got that much free time, I envy you.
Yeah.
Pies de Pleb, 420 sats. Max, you need to put John onto JK and gigs. I'm an American and I completely understand everything they talk about in grime music. But then again, I am a knucklehead who spent many years doing dirt in the streets of dirty Jersey, so laughing face.
I can't believe he knows JK. That's so niche.
That is very niche. Gigs I can understand because he's done some collabs with some bigger
American
artists. Yeah. JK is very niche, so I'm impressed, Pies.
You would not ever normally hear someone from any other country know who he is. He's quite good though. I quite like him.
And if you are an American and have no idea who or what we're talking about, go to Spotify and search JK, as in JAYKAE. Yeah. And you're in for a treat. I do like a bit of grime in the gym.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this one wrong again. I know you corrected me last week and I'm going to have you correct me again because I forgot what you said. At Able.
Oh, it's AIBLE. ASIC instruction before leaving Earth.
Boosted with 801 sats. Great episode. Congrats on the new sponsor and God bless. And they also boosted the second time with 100 sats. Said, don't listen to a ton of secular music these days, but when I did, there was some UK classics for sure. If you want to bring John over to your culture, I'd recommend Skinny Man Council State of Mind, Kalashnikov, Sagas, or Plan B, Ill Manners. Ill Manners is a good album. Or even Hack Baker. It's an easier transition for American ears. I've got to admit, I've only ever heard of Plan B out of all of those.
I've heard of Skinny Man, but not the others. Yeah, Plan B, obviously, but not the others.
Nice.
Hack Baker. I'll have a listen.
Yeah, I'm going to have to search those later. BTC on board, 500 sats with 2 lightning bolt emojis. Jump Spot Julian, 500 sats. First ever boost. Question, can I have more than one wallet on my passport at the same time? Want to move KYC'd stack onto the device, but don't want to combine the non-KYC'd stack. Love the show, thanks for everything. Yeah, absolutely. And there's 2 main, well, there's actually 3 different ways that you could achieve this. I'll give you a high level, but reach out to me if you kind of want me to give you some more links and stuff where you can go and watch videos and things like this. But the 3 ways you can do it, number 1, you can just have sub accounts on Passport. That way you only have to manage 1 set of seed words, and then under that set of seed words and passphrase, if you choose to use a passphrase, you can have account number 0, the default one, and then account number 1 for your no KYC stuff, account number 2 for your daughter's savings, account number 3 for your, I don't know, your drug pile, whatever it is.
BIP85. Nice BIP, that, actually.
It's not BIP85, actually.
For fuck's sake.
I'm coming on to that in a minute. This is just the Bitcoin sub-accounts that, to be honest, most hardware wallets do support. We just, in my opinion, have the best implementation of it. To do that, all you do is scroll, when you're on the home screen, scroll to the right and you'll see new account. You'll be asked for an account number and to give that a name. And then once you save it to the device, you'll then see that you've got 2 account kind of dots at the bottom of the screen. One will be the default primary account, and then one will be the one that you just added. You can rinse and repeat that process for as many accounts as you want. Most people just have 2 for the purpose as outlined in the question, KYC and no KYC. The beautiful part of this is different accounts have their own unique list of addresses, and the 2 accounts can never be spent from at the same time. So you can't merge the KYC and no KYC, like if you're not paying attention or something like that. And you only have to worry about keeping 1 secret, your seed words.
I never knew that was even a thing, mate. And I've used a Passport a lot.
Accounts are wonderful.
That's smart, because I've done it in terms of I have different accounts on there, but it's each one has different seed phrase, 25th words. Because I was like, oh, well, if I do it that way, then it keeps things separate. But actually, I didn't need to do that. I could have just done these sub accounts.
Yeah, well, I've just said it's all wonderful, and it is. However, there's one thing it doesn't give you, which you did a lovely segue for me there, Max, is it doesn't provide you with as good plausible deniability. In that scenario, if somebody were to somehow grab hold of your passport and know your PIN to access the device, which is unlikely, let's be real, they'd be able to see all of your sub-accounts, so they'd know where to go and look to be able to access everything. They can see, oh, he's got a no KYC stack and he's got a KYC stack and he's got an account labeled this and an account labeled that, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all there visible on the screen. If you implemented the second way to do this, which is with passphrases, then you then gain that plausible deniability with some other trade-offs that you don't get with the first thing that I mentioned. So the second way you can do this is with passphrases. So you have the passport with its 12 or 24 word seed. You can use, let's say, the non-passphrase protected wallet for your KYC stack, and you just spend from there as normal. Then you want to segregate your non-KYC stuff. What you could do is on that very same device, once again, scroll to the right from the home screen and enter a passphrase. When you enter the passphrase, you create a new wallet that is a combination of the passphrase plus your 12 or 24 word seed that lives on the device. Brand new wallet with, again, its own list of unique addresses that cannot be spent from. You can't merge the passphrase wallet and the non-passphrase wallet funds in a single transaction, so it's difficult for you to merge them by mistake. This gives you great plausible deniability because the passphrase is never saved onto the device. So in the scenario, again, where somebody somehow grabs your passport, forces you to open it, all they then see and gain access to is the non-passphrase wallet. If all of your no KYC stuff is in the passphrase protected wallet, there's no trace of there ever being a passphrase entered to that device ever. So you've got great plausible deniability in that scenario. But you now have an extra piece of information that you need to keep safe so that you don't lose access to a portion of your funds. That is your passphrase. And if you're like Max and you have multiple passphrases for multiple different wallets, then you're multiplying the amount of shit that you need to look after.
Yeah, it can get very complicated very quickly. Like we were saying, 5 or 6 phones, multiple laptops, multiple passphrases and accounts, and it's just you sometimes look at your life, you go, what the fuck am I doing? So there's probably a nice middle ground, something like BIP85, and then having like a couple of passphrases on top of things and just using 1 or 2 devices rather than going mental.
Yeah, and that, again, once again, perfect segue. Thank you, Mac, for option number 3, which is BIP85, which within Passport is called our key manager. To enable this, you would head into the settings page, scroll down to extensions, and you'll see key manager in there. You just need to enable that, and then that will give you a new window on the main menu system within Passport called key manager, where you can go in and generate what we call child keys or child seeds. Here, what happens is, we've covered BIP85 in depth in previous shows, but a quick high level. You have your master seed backed up. It's stamped into steel. You've done your encrypted backups with Passport as well. You've got your backup sorted. It's great. You then decide that you have a need for extra wallets populated by extra seed words, but you don't want to have to be able to back all of those up and have, like Max has, 10 different seed words in 10 different cities all over the UK. And I'm being facetious here, but you get the message that I'm trying to put across. With Key Manager, you can do that in a deterministic fashion from your master seed phrase. So what you do, you go into the Key Manager and you say, okay, I want a 12-word seed from path number 1. And it'll say, okay, great, using your master secret, if we apply path number 1 and the BIP85 standard, here is your first child seed. That is a valid BIP39 child seed in its own right that you can go and put wherever you want. You can go and put it into another hardware wallet, a Spiral wallet, Cake wallet, Envoy wallet, or you can temporarily load that onto your Passport and just make it active for as long as you want to use the device for that session. So you could use this key manager functionality in that way to segregate your KYC stack, your non-KYC stack, and all of the other purposes that you have. Now, rather than them being segregated at the account level, these are protected by their own set of seed words, which again has its pros and its cons. You, again, can't merge them in a single transaction. So if you're concerned about segregation, this is a great thing this will definitely achieve that for you. But it does add a bit of complexity. You've got to kind of understand how the key manager works, and there is small pieces of additional information that you have to back up. Like if you generate 5 child keys, all you need to know is that you've generated 5 child keys and that you've used key numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, that's going to be fairly easy if you are a sane human and you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you like to come up with Rube Goldberg machines like Max and you choose key number 4,372 and you don't back that up, you're going to have a pretty bad time if you lose access to that child seed and you then need to regenerate it using Passport. That's kind of the whole point of this key manager. If you don't know that key number, then you're going to have a long session of trial and error until you find the one that you're after. So use the same defaults, just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give it a nice, lovely key name. It's all backed up to your encrypted backups. It's a very, very powerful feature and could absolutely be applied to the scenario that JumpSpot Julian used. So loads of different ways you can use it or achieve this. It just depends on what you want to back up, how much complexity you're comfortable with, and whether you want the additional plausible deniability of the latter two. Okay, Noster Gang, 100 sats. He said, or she said, fuck Twitter. Fishy Stick, 100 sats, said fun show. Bitcoin Hodl with 100 sats. Bravo. Keep them coming, gents. Love listening. Glad you're doing more of these. We appreciate it very much. And that is it from Fountain. Well, that is it for the Podcasting 2.0 support, should I say. That covers all of them across Breeze, Podverse, and of course, Fountain. By the way, great episode with Oscar. Listen to that the other day if you're interested in Fountain and kind of the rationale behind their move to Noster, which I know ruffled some feathers. Worth a listen.
Should we jump into XMR chat, or we want to jump into some other bits first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. First XMR chat is from QnA Truther. 0.065 XMR. QnA has calf implants. The truth shall be told.
Okay.
Wow.
2 points here. Number 1.
Spicy.
I still haven't worked out whether this is you, John, or Jordan.
Okay.
And number 2, absolutely not true. And if you actually saw my cars in real life, then you'd realise that we're we are stretching the truth quite significantly here, and it was just a very good photo of my legs in Nashville.
Thou doth protest too much.
Ooh, perhaps, yeah, maybe I'm blowing my own cover.
Well, QnA Truther, thanks for bringing this to our attention. We appreciate it. Private 0.007 XMR, no message. Private again 0.019 XMR, no message. Private again 0.062 XMR with just 3 cigarettes. Bill Gates 0.093 XMR. Great podcast, almost as good as my billions. What's your recommendation for BTC nodes these days? How to install Dojo safely now that the repo is down? And do Start9 and Umbral offer an only Bitcoin core and should thus be avoided? Thanks. Plus, stay safe and un-Microsoftable.
Very good. I like that one.
It's nice to have him on board. Creepy fuck, isn't he?
Thanks, Bill.
But we appreciate the XMR. Recommendation for BTC nodes these days. I think we're both on the same page with Start9 being certainly up there. That's what I'm running. It's what you're running. It's very, very good. There's lots of things you can do with it. I've had the least amount of problems that I've had with any node with it. So that would be what I would suggest. How to install the Dojo safely now that the repo is down.
There is still an actively maintained fork by a guy that goes by Dojo Coder on Twitter.
Great guy.
I will drop the link to that repository, which is hosted on GitHub, and we can put it in the show notes. Again, Jordan, please remind me.
Excellent. And then do Start9 and Umbral offer an only Bitcoin core? I know Start9 has, what's the one with the logo that looks like an arsehole? Ocean and then Knots. That's it.
Knots.
Ocean and then Knots is the other one. I'm pretty sure that they have that arsehole version available on Start9 if you are that way inclined. Nothing wrong with it, each to their own. I don't know about Umbral though.
I think Umbral also offers Knots.
Okay.
Speaking of nodes and power cuts, I think my Start9 hasn't come back up after my power cut. So, how the tables have been turned.
Maybe now is a good time to get your shit together and upgrade that NVMe.
Perhaps you're right.
It's already fucked, so why not?
That's really annoying. God damn.
Do you not have a backup power thing?
No.
I'll give you mine because Rabbit very kindly gave me one. A good one. What's it called? An Eat On one? It's like 100 quid's worth. But I just don't need it anymore because I've got a laptop that I'm running as my server.
Of course, internal battery. Okay, cool. Yeah, next time we meet up, I will take that off your hands.
Handy little bit of kit. I don't know how long I think it runs for like an hour or something like that. It has like a separate battery.
Nice. Okay, cool. It is backup, by the way. I was using the wrong IP address like a complete moron.
Okay, well, I'll take that off the bat then. You can.
Okay, firmware updates and releases. Let's start with the Passport one, version 2.3.5. So this is a bit of a hot fix. We had a busy week last week. It transpired. Last week we released version 2.3.4, which patched the communication with the Casa app. So Casa customers will be happy to hear about that. It's been a long work in progress back and forth with their team to iron out all of those issues. However, it transpired that when people were trying to update the previous the version, 2.3.4, they were getting stuck partway through the update process, and everybody was getting stuck at the same point in time. It's like 98% verifying signatures, which was very strange and very unusual. So the team and I jumped on that to do a lot of troubleshooting to find out what the issue was. And just want to be clear, by the way, this is only affecting users of version 2.3.2. When they were trying to update from there, this is where they were getting stuck. So if you're on an older version, you don't need to just disregard everything that I'm saying. You can update just fine. So we found the issue within, less than a day and put out a fix for it, which is contained within 2.3.5. But that still poses the problem of how do we get those users from 2.3.2 up to the latest version that doesn't contain the minor issue preventing them from getting off that version, because the bug is with the firmware update process itself. So we ask that those affected population, if you do try to update your firmware and you do get stuck at 98% verifying verifying signatures, please just contact us via email. We've got some simple instructions that will enable you to complete in 5 to 10 minutes that will get you off this version and updated to 2.3.5 so that you can then just go and from then on have a bug-free software and be able to update in the usual fashion. Nothing to worry about in terms of the security of the device or any kind of compromise of the private keys or anything like that. This was an isolated bug that just stopped people being able to update. Once again, only affects those users that were quick to update to 2.3.2. If you're on any other version, you should be fine. But with that said, if you experience any issues, hello@foundation.xyz and we'll walk you through all the steps. Like I say, it takes 10 minutes and then you'll be absolutely fine again. But with that said, we appreciate that some people were kind of a little uneasy for a couple of days last week while we worked on it. We went from bug report to shipped firmware release with instructions in less than 48 hours. So very proud of the team for jumping on that so quickly. But again, want to extend apologies to those affected. We appreciate that it's not exactly an ideal situation and we're happy to walk anybody through the steps required. But again, just to reiterate, please don't ask for support on Telegram. Just come directly to us and we'll get you sorted out.
Do you have any more grey hairs from last week than you did previously?
Many and large bags under my eyes. Yeah. Okay. We worked very hard to pinpoint the issue as quickly as we could and to ship an update and to get the relevant documentation ready as well so that the affected population could, have easy to follow instructions so that they know what they need to do. So yeah, it was a testing week. I felt like I earned my wages last week, but again, it's software. There's a famous saying that goes around. I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like all software contains bugs, but some bugs are worse than others, or something to that effect. Yeah. And this is the first real one that we've had that kind of had a blanket effect on customers of a specific version. So it was a good test for the team, but yeah, very proud of how quickly we got that fix out and onwards and upwards. Bitcoin Core version 0.28 has been released. Not a huge amount to write home about that the average user would be concerned with. The main two would be Testnet 4 support, because Testnet 3 is balked and will be phased out early next year, I believe. And the other write home one is mempool policy change, that mempool full RBF has been changed to be active by default. What this means basically is that your Bitcoin Core node will accept child transactions or replacement transactions, even if the original one doesn't flag for RBF. This has kind of been possible throughout the entire network anyway, even if your node didn't run it, because most of the miners were running this policy because they're financially incentivized to do so. But this is now a default configuration in Bitcoin Core, so that any mempools that you have driven from your own Bitcoin Core node will accept those child transactions, even if the parents did not signal RBF. Zeus version 0.9.1 main release has now been released. We've been talking about beta release candidates for quite some time with this one, but it is now out as main release. So if you don't like running betas, then you can go ahead and grab it. Quick reminder of the highlights: Bolt 11 blinded paths, LND node you can spend full coins, great for privacy. Experimental release for rescanning external wallets. So if you pair your passport accounts to Zeus, you can now rescan for your historical transactions, which I'm very happy about. And then some simplified open channel user experiences and updates to on-chain address list viewing and keypad views and things like that. A project I continue to love and use every single day. Shout out Evan Kaludis. Speaking of Lightning, Phoenix version 2.4.0 and 2.4.1 Android have been released. Just to be clear, 2.4.0, what I'm about to talk about, is for cross-platform, but they've also released 2.4.1 for the Android client, which had a bug in it. So 2.4.0 changes. This is a major release for Android and iOS. It makes Phoenix compatible with the new open protocol that is now used by the ACINQ LSP. This new protocol is a thin layer on top of dual funding, splicing, and liquidity adds, all recent additions to the Lightning Bolt standard. So it looks like they've kind of open sourced the LSP software that they are using for in the Phoenix kind of mobile client, which is cool because it works very fucking well. So hopefully people can kind of use this and use the tools that they've kind of built on top of that, so that other people can build awesome stuff like dual funding splicing and integrate with liquidity ads as well. So yeah, pretty cool to see. And they also added, this release also adds a button to spend funds from the final wallet to any on-chain address directly from Phoenix. This is instead of having to load the wallet on a third-party tool like Electrum. A notification is displayed to remind users when funds are present on the final wallet. So I think this is when you kind of close out all of the channels and stuff, and you might be left with a little bit left over or something like that. Previously, you would have had to load it into an external wallet, which is a bit strange, but now you can just spend those out as you would expect.
Okay.
Stack Duo version 1.2.3 has been released, so they've done some tweaks to their Frost multisig support. They've tweaked how Bitcoin Core connects to an Electrum X behind the scenes for improved stability, and they've also added coin control for the Monero side of things.
Very nice. Good wallet.
It is a good wallet, yeah. Good team behind them as well. We chat to them quite a bit behind the scenes, ironically on Telegram. But yeah, good bunch of guys working for them, and they're working on some cool stuff, which I am very excited to be able to talk about soon.
What's the status with Stack getting paid out? Was it for Frost?
It was for the Frost multisig, yeah. The HRF had a bounty for the first, I believe, mobile wallet to come out with a usable Frost multisig implementation, essentially. And Stack Wallet, from as far as I can see, met that
requirement
bounty quite some time ago, but I believe it hasn't been paid yet for reasons that are unclear to me. I know Jordan's been shaking a few trees on this one, and I think Alex Gladstein did get back to him.
Okay.
Basically, they said it's still under review and there's still some peer review going on, but it's still actively being looked at. Just scanning through. Yeah,
it's just still ages ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite some time ago. I remember briefly testing it out when I met up with Black Coffee quite some time ago. I want to say it's got to be at least 6 months ago, if not longer.
Yeah, it feels like that. But yeah, Jordan's done a long tweet thread about it all, and he's quite worked up about it, which I can see, because if you have a small team and you put a load of effort into making something that there's a bounty on because you know that you can do it, and then you don't get paid out, it must be quite frustrating.
Yeah, hopefully it's just a workload thing. I know a few of the guys at HRF, they've definitely got their hearts in the right place. So hopefully everything will be sorted out, and
yeah,
Rihar and the team will get the bounty they deserve for producing this cool piece of software.
Yeah, that would be good.
ESP Miner 230, this is for our fellow BITAXE fans. They've released the new latest firmware and also a new version of the web UI as well. The main thing I wanted to highlight, because this is very much not the mining show on the Ungovernable Misfits feed, but I thought it was cool, and I'm pretty sure you probably won't know about it yet, but would find it useful, Max, is within the web UI now, you can set a fallback pool, and you're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, well, God, all of my miners that Compass I used to use would have had this anyway, but I don't know whether it's a common thing. But basically, if you, let's say you're mining on public pool and public pool goes down, which it does fairly regularly, albeit temporarily, you can now configure an alternative pool, and your BITAXE will detect when the primary pool is down and then just switch and point to the secondary pool so that you're not kind of wasting any time or any hashes while the primary pool is down. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's very simple. You just plug in, I think it defaults to CK pool as a secondary one, and you plug in your address just like you would with the primary pool, and that's it. You just restart the miner and away you go.
Very nice. Have you hit any blocks yet?
Not yet, no. I think the listeners will know. There will be signs, just like the meme.
What would you do? What would be your... I guess you've already got the Pixel 9. You've already balled out.
Yeah, don't know. I'd probably go on a pretty big holiday.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd probably
go... or something.
I'd probably go scouting for Home 2.0. Just take like a month off and just go to some potential Citadel solutions, spec them all out.
Nice.
CakePay web version now accepts Lightning, which is pretty cool. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come from within CakePay wallet itself, but good that you can now buy all of your usual gift cards, prepaid Visa cards, etc., on CakePay web. We want to specify that it is just the web at the moment, not the mobile application. But yeah, you can now spend your Lightning sats on there as well.
Before I saw that message go out that was being added, I was thinking it would be quite nice actually to have Lightning in here. And then literally like 2 days later, bang, it's in.
There you go. Always shipping. Final one, which is a new release, or new to me at least, that I wanted to shed a little bit of light on, is a project called Lightning Welder. Basically, Lightning Welder is a converter for a Bolt 12 offer, which we're big fans of, into a Bolt 11 invoice, ensuring compatibility across Lightning wallets. So, scenario, why would you want to use this? Let's say you only have access to, I don't know, Wallet of Satoshi. And Wallet of Satoshi, to my knowledge, does not speak Bolt 12 yet. And you want to send the show a donation. And all you can access for the show, again, hypothetically speaking, is our Bolt 12 offer, which is just a QR code that's on ungovernablemisfits.com. Well, in that scenario, until this thing existed, then you wouldn't be able to send us any sats because Wallet of Satoshi only speak to traditional Bolt 11 invoices. Now what you can do is grab the Bolt 12 offer, paste it into this Lightning Welder tool, which is just a simple website, and it will spit out, it'll do the conversion for you, and then it will spit out a Bolt 11 invoice for you to scan with your inferior Lightning wallet so that you can send some sats to the show. Pretty cool, completely free and open source software. Very nice, simple UI. It's just two things. You paste in the Bolt 12 offer, you tell it how much you want to send, and it will just give you a traditional Bolt 11 invoice for you to scan and pay. Very cool, very simple, and I'm a big fan. Okay, mate. We have quite a few questions, and I'm going to pose the first one to you. The first one is from our friend Dice Rolls over on Nostr. Keen to know if anybody has upgraded their dojo to 2 terabytes yet. I thought I'd ask you because I know that you're the expert in drive migrations at the moment.
I haven't upgraded my dojo. I don't have a working dojo. My last Tanto that I've had a few fell over, and I just don't have any more time to fuck around with it. So I haven't done it personally, but I don't think it's been an issue that I've heard of from other people. I just have a specific skill, which is to definitely make sure that a dojo never, ever, ever runs for more than 3 months ever in my life, no matter how. I think I've had 6 or 7 of them. I kill them off. So I'm not the person to ask.
I've never done it, never looked into it. Would probably say head to the dojo Telegram room or the Ronin Dojo one. There's bound to be somebody in there that's already done it. And if you do, let us know.
I think they were shipping them with 2 terabyte, the last batch they did before they stopped selling them, weren't they? I'm pretty sure you could buy the 2 terabyte ones. Someone will answer that question. And for the majority of people, they'll just do it and it'll be easy and it will work. So I'm sure it's not an issue.
Cool. Andos on Nostr, have you covered Joinstr.xyz yet? If not, you should look into it. CoinJoin's coordinated over Nostr. Very early project, but very interesting. I have heard of it, and I won't be showing it at the time of day for quite some time unless there's significant changes for 3 main reasons. Number 1, the developer behind it is a very, very strange individual that said some very, very strange things to people I respect and just doesn't give me any confidence in the project whatsoever.
Is that the floppy dick guy?
Yeah, he's just a complete weirdo, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Number 2, it runs as an Electrum plugin, and Electrum, in my personal opinion, is the most horrible piece of Bitcoin software I've ever had the displeasure of using. I just do not like the UI. So I just don't want to use a plugin for a wallet that I don't like. And number 3, and probably the most important one, it has absolutely zero Sybil resistance at all. So it's trivial to flood all of the rounds, and you can't avoid kind of suspicious pools or untrusted relays. There's just no Sybil resistance, which is crucial for any kind of CoinJoin implementation. So unless any of those things significantly change, then it's dead in the water to me.
Is there anything about it that shows promise if it wasn't from someone you didn't like using software plugins that you don't like? Is there anything about the idea where you go, if it wasn't this cunt running it and it wasn't using these shitty projects, I'd be happy with it? Or is it just like you just don't think it really has legs?
I think there might be legs to coordination over Nostr relays, but I'm yet to see an implementation that seems viable. So yeah, maybe there's legs in that, and getting the kind of censorship resistance or decentralization of multiple Nostr relays to provide coordination seems like it could be a good thing. I'm sure there's lots of pitfalls with it as well that are unclear to me right now, but it seems like it could be a nice thing to have versus a centralized coordinator.
Okay.
But that will, of course, pose its own problems, like things like Sybil resistance is non-trivial, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Zayton on Nostr, just a down-to-earth, how to mix coins post-Samurai arrest era. I've seen a critique of both Jam and Wasabi before, so I'm struggling to get up to date on the current best practice here. Yeah.
Fucking good question, mate.
This is a question I ask fairly regularly, if I'm being honest. Couple of things. The guys over on Gabriel's podcast, Watchman Privacy, they did a deep dive into all of the different implementations, and that was fairly recent.
Was that him and Urban?
Urban Hacker, that's the one. So it would signpost you to that if you kind of like to listen to this sort of stuff. I'll give a very high level on the way I see things. Did you know, I found when researching like a few information points for this question this morning, did you know that Wasabi have removed all coordinator fees?
I think I heard it, but I hadn't really given it much thought. But I suppose, again, that causes its own problems.
Yeah, exactly. So it's now free to use Wasabi, apart from minor fees, of course, which again comes back to it being trivial to Sybil attack rounds. Like, it just seems like a very strange decision. I don't know whether they've done it to like
remove...
why. Okay.
Well, I know why I know a reason that they might have done it that could be logical, but it doesn't mean that it is the actual reason. But I think they were having a problem where people were getting massively overcharged with fees. And there was I'm pretty sure when Urban came on to the show and was talking to me about this, that he was testing it and that he ended up paying massive fees that he didn't think he was going to pay. And I've heard the same from other people. And I'm not sure what the reason for that was, but basically people were getting you to join and then the fees were going crazy. So I think to avoid that problem that they didn't seem to have a way around that happening, they just removed them entirely and replaced one problem with another.
I see. So yeah, for that reason, again, amongst many others, I just can't kind of recommend going down that sort of route. Jam or Join Market is probably the only viable on-chain alternative I'm somewhat happy to give recommendation for, with the caveats that we've spoken about in previous shows of even at low fee rates, it can be quite expensive if you choose to mix with lots of different market makers. Now, if we're at like sub 5 sat per byte, then yeah, that could be worth it to get some, a fairly good level of on-chain privacy. As soon as the fees go above that, it can become prohibitively expensive. You do also, to kind of get a full, proper sort of holistic approach to this and gain privacy from market makers, you should be a maker yourself as well, which slows things down significantly. It means that you've got to have funds, on a node for longer periods of time if you want to kind of do this quote unquote properly. And again, something I've always struggled with, and again, hold my hands up that I'm open to saying that this is just my lack of understanding, but it's difficult for me to gain an understanding of what level of privacy I've gained when I've gone through a join market mix.
Yeah.
Yes, you can look at them on block explorers and see the inputs and outputs and kind of get a little bit of a gauge there, but it's nowhere near as easy as it used to be with like equal output coin joins like Whirlpool. So if I was pushed, I'd say, yeah, okay, try out Jam with some small amounts of funds, but expect to pay some, fairly significant fees, especially if the minor fees are jacked up because you're carrying the load for the makers there as well. Other than that, I would say minimize your on-chain footprint. Come in via no KYC methods straight onto Lightning, run your own node. In fact, I won't go into it in detail. Just check my pinned message. I actually pinned this morning because I want to kind of drive people towards it. It's just like a simple flow of using RoboSats, using your own node with proxy invoices to protect the location of your own node, blah, blah, blah. Once you're in Lightning, you've got good spend level privacy, albeit with some of the headaches that comes with managing a Lightning node, but freedom isn't free. And then we talk about, bolt swaps to go out to on chain once your Lightning channel's full and you need to kind of swap some funds out. It's not perfect, but this is the we're in a post Samurai or post Whirlpool era at the moment, so you have to look for alternatives. And at the moment, that flow that's in my pin message is kind of seems doable for most people. But yeah, for larger amounts at lower fee rates, Jam is an okay option as well.
My personal opinion on it is, if people are mixing, and I think this would be a lot of people who are asking these sort of questions, if they're mixing because they have KYC funds and they wish that they hadn't done that and they're trying to get some forward-looking privacy, I actually think just sell those coins back to the exchange them for slave notes, and then with those slave notes go and buy some real Bitcoin, because there's all sorts of problems that could come in the future for people who are doing that, especially when you're not going through something like Whirlpool, where you could be very confident that there's no tracking or tracing after that point. I just think that with all the issues that you could have, maybe that is the safest option, and then you go in clean, buying with cash or in the methods that Q's going through. So if you are thinking about your KYC stack and that this is going to fix all your problems, it's not, because there's still a record of you buying it, and it's a blockchain. People can see what's happening, and at some point you might get a knock on the door.
Yep, co-sign that one. Fast Lion on Twitter. No, apologies, I've missed one. Zwartit on Nostr. Topic suggestion: decentralized mining future. New pools. Thoughts on the future of potential issues along the way. That's probably one for you and John, maybe?
Probably one for John, that, to be honest, unless you have some thoughts on it.
Not really.
Yeah, it's one for John.
Okay. Fast Lion on Twitter. Does AlbyHub have any privacy implications when self-hosted? Not to my knowledge. It's just a piece of open source software that's living on top of your node. Now, I don't know whether they've got any additional tools in there, such as like a self-hosted Lightning address, which I believe you can do with the AlbyHub, but still have it on your own node. Then there would be kind of a slight privacy trade-off there, where they would be able to see your incoming transactions because they are the ones that are hosting your, so-and-so at alby.com. Now, I don't actually know, please don't hold me to whether that's actually a thing for the self-hosted version. Obviously, I know it's part of the hosted version that you pay for, because obviously that's, a perk of the product. But I wouldn't be surprised if they offer that for the self-hosted version. But if that is there, just know that would be a trade-off.
I've got a question from that question. You were saying earlier about receiving privacy on Lightning and that you could use a proxy for receiving and still run that on your own node. That would be the other option compared to like having, if AlbyHub does actually have an option where they host a receive for you, which would then be a privacy concern where they would have your information but not anyone else. How hard is it to set up one of these proxies for receiving? Like, is there any issues that you see with it?
So in respect to the flow I was talking about, where you're buying on RoboSats, the proxy server is built into RoboSats, so it's nice and easy. You can use it independently. I believe it's the same service under the hood. It's just lnproxy.org, where you just go and you paste in an invoice and set up the fees that you're happy to give for the service. In terms of trade-offs, I would look at this as kind of like a VPN for your Lightning node sort of thing. So it's kind of a semi-trusted relationship in the fact that your traditional VPN provider would see your IP address, but the whole point is that you're masking it from everyone else. When you go and browse the internet, WordPress.com doesn't get to learn where you live, so to speak. Yeah. So it's that similar sort of relationship where obviously the proxy service runner is going to see, you're giving it an invoice from your Lightning nodes, and they can infer from that your node ID and stuff. But the whole point is that you're then obfuscating that from the person that is actually paying the proxy invoice.
Okay. Yeah. So as long as it isn't like a honeypot or something like that, then you are better off doing that. That's the big thing with Lightning that always pisses me off. I'm like, sending, I've got down. Like, I'm pretty happy with it and running it on my own node. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I've got a great flow here. I'm happy. Receiving, I then find it weird that I'm like using other custodial shit to receive because I'm not comfortable with any or like fully understanding the trade-offs with anything else. And it just feels like a bit of a stupid way of doing things. I'd like to just have control and be doing things from my own node.
Yeah. Blinded paths are a thing of the not too distant future, which will massively help here, which is kind of like you don't have to share your node ID. Okay, Wyatt, or what's up? Wyatt Serp? How do you say that, Max? What's up?
Wyatt's up. What's up?
On Twitter asks, does Q actually strip down naked drum recordings as the image shows?
Yes.
I was going to say that's for me to know and for you to try and find out, but you just blew my cover. That art, by the way, is sensational. Love it. If people haven't seen, just go to like Max's Twitter or Nostr and you'll see me and him sat around a table putting the world to rights.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you, mate. I've been playing around a little bit.
I am naked on it.
You're naked on it?
Yeah, that's why.
That one. Do you know what?
Yeah.
I was like, I had a flashback to, remember we did a competition where someone had to do a drawing for us? And then someone did the drawing of you on the side of the bed. I had a flashback to that, which I actually never claimed because the person said, I'll send it to you, the original drawing, and I was going to get it framed, but then I didn't have a PO box, and I was like, fuck's sake, and I never did. I wish I had now. I wish it was in my office.
Could you imagine your little one coming in? Daddy, what's that? Where would you begin to explain that one?
Yeah, basically it's this robot that I record this show about this thing called Bitcoin, and yeah, I have no idea where you start with that.
Crash Neon X on Twitter. Where can a silly Billy like me get a Ronin node to power the Ashigaru wallet? Well, Crash Neon, you have multiple different ways. You could download the vanilla Dojo software from the repository that we mentioned earlier that you'll find in the show notes. That will require some command line stuff. You can also build your own Ronin Dojo node by buying the recommended hardware, which I'm sure they've probably got on their website. Go into their downloads page and downloading the most recent version of their software and flashing it to the SD card. Obviously, that's going to cost you a little bit more because you can't run it on like an existing computer that you've already got, but is, a good fun journey to get your hands dirty with. Or you can install the Samurai server on Umbrel, and I believe that should still work with the Ashigaru wallet because it just looks for Dojo software. So 3 different ways you can do it.
Someone asked this question recently, and could it be run on Start9? And someone from Start9 said, yes, that's being worked on apparently.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was toying with the idea of starting a bounty for that, but if they're already working on it, then that's very good to hear.
Someone have to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that was said. And I'm pretty sure you can also, there's an x86 build for this, and I can't remember who made that, but I'm almost certain someone...
For Ronin?
For Ronin, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe it was a fork of it or something.
Yeah, I think it was wasn't it one of the Spaniards that did a guide for it? I'm sure I've seen that actually.
Might well have been.
Ring a bell now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe somebody like Arcad, but maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, final question. Trust D21 on Twitter. If you had 2 BTC in 20 UTXOs and you wanted to move everything to a new wallet, would you A, consolidate it all, 20 UTXOs into one, or B, send each of the 20 UTXOs to new addresses in the new wallet, or option C, other, please explain? Great question. And I am going to bring up my usual analogy of a spectrum. And you've got option A on the left-hand side, which is consolidate it all into one UTXO in the new wallet. And then option B, you've got send all of them individually to new addresses in the new wallet. Option A, consolidate it all, is fast, it's cheap, it's easy, and you can do it in 10 minutes. But it's going to show common ownership of all of those UTXOs because you're merging them all together into a single coin, which could cause you privacy headaches because you're showing common ownership. And if they're from different sources, i.e., some are from BISC, some are from Coinbase, blah, 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 you're merging those, and, anybody that you previously, where you've got those coins from could see that you also own the coins that are being merged with it. So that's one end of the spectrum. And also that you're then going to end up with a 2BTC UTXO.
I was just about to say, when you pay your plumber, they're going to go, "Ooh, fuck me, I should have charged more."
Or, fuck me, I might put this spanner to use elsewhere and wrap it around his head. So probably not the best idea. Unless, there is no unless actually. Probably not the best idea. And then option B, on the other end of the spectrum, spend each of the 20 UTXOs to new addresses in the new wallet, so that you still have 20 UTXOs in the new wallet. Now, obviously, this is going to take you some more time because you need to do 20 transactions. And if you want to do this privately, you're going to want to do those transactions spaced out at random intervals. So it's going to take you significantly longer than option A. It's also going to cost you significantly more in fees because you're doing 20 transactions instead of one, and you're creating 20 outputs instead of one. It all comes down to trade-offs at the end of the day. What do you value more? Are you lazy? Do you want to just get it over and done with, and you don't care that the world might see that you've got a 2BTC coin? Or are you uber paranoid about privacy and you don't want to show common ownership of these UTXOs and you're happy to spend a little bit more in time and fees? Then option B is definitely the right way to go. You could also pick somewhere in the middle of the spectrum where you realize that, do you know what, actually, I don't want 20 UTXOs and this is only for long-term savings and I'm happy to have maybe, 10 UTXOs. Then you could, rather than merging them all into one, you could do smaller spends where you merge a couple of them at a time so that you kind of find that fine balance between the amount of time it takes, the amount of coins that you're merging, and the amount of fees that you're willing to pay for each of those transactions. There's no right or wrong answer here, although option A is pretty terrible and I wouldn't advise most people to do it unless you're a bit of a whale. Generally, somewhere in the middle makes the most sense, but if you're uber paranoid about privacy, then go for option B and just send them individually.
When he says move everything to a new wallet, in case you're new, just because you have new hardware or you're using a different software on your phone doesn't necessarily mean you have to physically move them. Like, it might be that you could just put your seed words into that, unless you're worried that it isn't secure for some reason. You might not actually need to move it, because I used to think that, and I don't think I'm the only person.
That is a very good point worth making. I just looked at this from the assumption that, they thought the original seed might be compromised or lost or something like that, or very good point, worthwhile making. The cheapest and most private way to do this is to just move your seed words. But again, that depends on the situation with those seed words and, your confidence in them.
If you are not concerned with how you've generated them and there's no leak or anything like that, then that might be an option. And I do think that, especially when you're new to it, that's something that you might not understand. So there's that. The other thing I was going to say is, with other explain, is maybe there's somewhere else in the middle, which is, like you said, you can have a stepping down like you'd have with coins in terms of large to small UTXOs, because sometimes you're going to make smaller purchases, sometimes it's going to be larger. So having a bit of a range where maybe you have one that's 0.25 Bitcoin, and then you have a few million sat UTXOs, and you have a few 5 million sat UTXOs and 10 million sat UTXOs, because then you're more likely to be able to do a spend with a full UTXO rather than having to use multiple and merging them again. That's something to consider. And if you are sending them across, you wouldn't necessarily have to do multiple 10 million sat spends. You might consider splitting them so that it makes it a little bit more difficult to track. And I think we talked about this you said there was a feature in Sparrow that makes this, makes the decisions for you on what would be the most private option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got some good defaults in Sparrow. That's another good point worth making, mate. Yeah, nice one. Okay, that brings us to the end of the show notes. Do you have any other things to tell
Everyone's asking me that, So let me tell them, cause I was the best man when D2 got married. The pool bear out when debts got carried. I lost count of times that I got ballied and risked my freedom for pricks. Yeah, it was So holler me fam if you need anything. I know how it goes cause I've been on the wing. Yeah, I was with Hecky and Keem on the wing. Had it unlocked before I got locked, nearly at the top. Yeah, I've been in the brink. Loose bitches wanna go to the club, tell them go back home, go clean up your sink. If you think JK ain't saying anything, walk in New York, go straight to the fridge. Build that shit now, breaking the bridge. Wanna come small, leave to a straight at the bridge. So leave him when I'm taking the piss. Got all the bullshit straight to the biz. I was the guy that stood up and taught charge when Bays in the brain of a ridge. I was the guy that jumped out the car and ran down the guy that was stabbing up socks. I was the guy outside Winder who got stabbed up and everybody watch. Now everybody watch. Everybody get down, everybody drop. Seen MCs getting friendly with the cops. Yo, when will it stop? Now fuck that, I'll put an end to the lot. If you want me, then you better pay me though. This JK's not Jay-Z's flow. Used to shop work cause it made me though. That's a little man thing like a baby grow. Phone of the boys in jail in the background, I can hear me on the radio. I was the guy that told Soulja that you gotta let KD grow. Now KD's gone. Ayo, I feel that shit for his nan and his mum. My man wanted to be like us, so we put on his shoes and we bring him along. I was in jail when my grandma died. Ain't gonna lie, blood man, I cried. From Tasmania, I've been doing this time for the past 10 years. When I ran our sites, it's real shit, that's real shit. I wanna M4 straight from the dealership. I wanna rip from my city like Leisha did. I best watch them guys out of me and with. Yeah, just pay to take the one piece of it. But my problems are the least of it. Yeah, what's the leader without leadership? Had to brain fast like we a big man. Invading alone, yeah, you can hold that. I can get my own back off my own back. You can phone me, but I won't phone back. You don't owe me and I don't owe Jack. And it's cold out here, it's mine, you don't lack. No pitch out when you get a throwback. That's man who's got a problem with that, it's as simple as that. I used to wake up and not know what I'll do for the day, till I had a you on the way. I need a mansion now, and are you gonna pay? No, better get down, letting loose when I spray. I'm a boss with lyrics, a boss with digits. I'm the big boss and I'll squash these midgets. No filters, family, this ain't gimmicks. I might bring the six, but this ain't Quidditch. I'm quite quick to flip it, rib cage with it. We've got problems, it ain't finished. Now make bread and I hold this thing. I'm best of both worlds, I'm mixed racing it. Back then I never had a pot to piss in. Calm as a bitch, watch what you wishing. Inspiration become competition. I keep it real, so you got to listen to me.